The farmers' agitation that India is witnessing now is unprecedented. The number of farmers who have come to this road and protesting against the farm laws and want the repeal of the farm laws, and the kind of problems they faced in terms of tear gassing, their march, the boulders which were put on their way, covered with barbed wire, the trenches that were dug on the road, and the many other oppressive measures taken against them, filing of FIRs in Haryana and so on and so forth, closely correspond to what happened to the farmers in India in 1917, 1918, and 1928. In Champaran, in Kheda, and Bardoli. These were the three major Kishan movements which actually heralded the freedom struggle under the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi. So what the problems caused by the British regime to the farmers in terms of oppressive measures, in terms of imposing laws against the will of the farmers, is getting replayed in 21st century India. For instance, now the farmers are not being allowed to enter Delhi to protest. So Mahatma Gandhi was not allowed to go ahead and enter Champaran, where he wanted to take up the cause of the farmers. Gandhi was arrested for breaking the law. He was taken to a magistrate, and magistrate asked him, "Do you plead guilty?" Gandhi said, "Yes, I plead guilty." And magistrate was stunned, British authority was stunned that somebody could plead guilty in the court of law. So the magistrate asked, "If you had to plead guilty, why did you violate the law?" Gandhi said he was tuned to the higher law of conscience. And the higher law of conscience was to take up the cause of the farmers, to investigate into the problems they confronted. The British planters, in today's parlance, they were the corporates. They were forcing farmers to plant indigo in their own land. So Gandhi took up the matter, he broke the law, investigated the matter, and eventually he was allowed to go into the details of the farmers' problems and their sorrows and sufferings. So Champaran Satyagraha began by Gandhi. It was started by Gandhi by breaking the law. It ended in framing the law. Now today farmers are protesting against a legislation. In 1917, Gandhi protested against the kind of a law and practice to force farmers, force farmers to plant indigo, and that framing of a law which resulted by Gandhi's action, eventually led to the abolition of forcible plantation of indigo on the dictations of the British planters. So that was a remarkable satyagraha for the cause of the farmers. And today farmers are facing the similar problems to protest. So therefore Champaran Satyagraha, where Gandhi faced problems even to enter Champaran to investigate the matter, today farmers are facing the same problem, and in a non-violent manner farmers are doing that. The second major peasant movement that India witnessed was in 1918, a year after Champaran Satyagraha, in Kheda in Gujarat. Both Sardar Patel and Mahatma Gandhi continued that struggle of the peasants, who were imposed with a land revenue code, a law, and they protested against that law. And they refused to pay land revenue because they suffered crop loss. They said, according to the land revenue code, if the crops were lost beyond a certain point, they were not supposed to pay land revenue. but British government forced them to pay land revenue. So Gandhi, what Gandhi said in 1918, exactly April 6th, 1918, he said, the government resorted to every possible repressive measure. And, the Gandhi said that British government was saying that the law they were imposing on the farmers or they were framing for the farmers was good, but farmers were opposing. So government is framing a law and applying it, but farmers were protesting against it. They were resisting it. So what kind of government is this, which framed law without consulting people? And exactly the same thing is happening today in the context of the farmers' agitation. Vis-a-vis they stand against the farm laws which were passed without even voting. So that was in 1918. And Gandhi said, whatever repressive measures the government took, they would remain non-violent and they would suffer the consequences. So today we are witnessing that in 2020, in 21st century India, more than 100 years after Gandhi and the peasants of Kheda, they registered and eventually they succeeded. The land revenue was suspended by the British regime. So it was a remarkable success achieved, in 1918 by both Gandhi and Sardar Patel. So the present regime, which is invoking Sardar Patel and created a huge statue of unity, by taking resort to oppressive and repressive measures, they are negating that legacy of Sardar Patel and of course Mahatma Gandhi. The other struggle which represented a remarkable struggle and where Vallabhbhai Patel was conferred with the title of Sardar, that was Bardoli Satyagraha of 1928. Now Mahatma Gandhi, again Bardoli Satyagraha, they were asked to pay land revenue, which they were not able to pay. So the Satyagraha started under the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi. And British government said that outsiders were interfering in Bardoli, to misguide the farmers against the British regime. Exactly the same terms and idioms are being used in 2020 in India, where we have full play of democratic practices and democracy. And in 1928, there was no democracy. British regime was not based on democratic method. But in spite of a regime which ostensibly is based on democratic practice and method, is following the British method of repressing the farmers in 21st century India. See, in today's farmers' agitation in different parts of India, and particularly in the borders of Delhi, the government is targeting them, by saying that they are being led by anti-national forces or Khalistanis and so on and so forth. And they are being, given different kind of colors. But exactly the same thing was done by British government in Bardoli. What the British government did when the peasants or the farmers refused to pay the land revenue, they deployed Pathans in Gujarat. Gandhi said, why Pathans were deployed? They wanted to create a Hindu-Muslim rift and division by deploying Pathans and to take away their land, take away their buffaloes, to harass the peasants and so on and so forth. Gandhi said, treat the Pathans as the brothers. Do not treat them as enemies. By treating them as our own brothers, we would prove that we are not different from them. They are our own people. So therefore, the division which was the division which they wanted to create, that was again, that didn't succeed because of Gandhi's method of non-violence. And therefore, that example of Gandhi, Patel, That example is of crucial relevance today, and the legacy, inherent or intrinsic to Champaran Satyagraha, Kheda Satyagraha, and Bardoli Satyagraha are of immense significance to appreciate and understand the peasant movement or the farmers' agitation today against the farm laws. And I will just say that in 1941, Mahatma Gandhi, in an interview to one of the great leaders of independent India, great leaders of the farmers, N.G. Ranga, he was a member of parliament. In an interview on 29th October 1944, Gandhi was asked a question: how would the farmers take up their issues in case the legislature framed laws contrary to their interests? So Gandhi famously stated, and I am quoting, if the legislature proves itself to be incapable of safeguarding Kishan's interests, they will of course always have the sovereign remedy of civil disobedience and non-cooperation. And then Gandhi said, the famous words of Gandhi, it is not paper legislation, nor brave words or fiery speeches, but the power of non-violent organization, discipline and sacrifice that constitutes the real bulwark of the people against injustice or oppression. So today, the farmers' agitation on the borders of Delhi and in many other parts of India, which have been organized in solidarity with the farmers who are sitting on the road in this cold, in this problematic situation, these are the ideas and thoughts of Gandhi, the worldview of Gandhi and Sardar Patel that are there on the streets or in the actions of the farmers in the streets. So therefore, what the farmers' agitation is taking forward is the legacy of both Gandhi and Patel, who did spearhead the agitations before a full-fledged freedom struggle in India was started, and eventually we got Swaraj. In fact, Gandhi, during Kheda and Bardoli Satyagraha, he said the non-payment of land revenue was a limited objective. The larger objective of the Kishans or the farmers was to establish Swaraj or independence. So the seeds of independent Swaraj are to be seen in the farmers' agitation in 21st century.